Okay, well, we're at 10:30, so I think we'll get started. So, hi everybody. Thank you for joining me here for our live session at WoundCon Spring today. Our session is titled, Why Should I Get Wound Care Certified with ABWM? My name is Caoimhe Kenny, and I'm the Director of Marketing for ABWM. In terms of the format for today's session, we'll spend the first 10 or 15 minutes answering or talking about our main topic, and then we can spend the rest of the session answering audience questions. So please feel free to pop any questions in the question box or in the chat box, and we'll hopefully have time to answer them at the end of the session. Just to note that this session is being recorded and it'll be available in the ABWM virtual booth for the next 2 weeks as part of the on-demand portion of the conference. So you can refer back to anything we cover here at any time. Okay, so let's get started. So first, I kind of wanted to give a bit of background about ABWM and who we are. So ABWM was initially set up in 1995 by 3 podiatrists, Dr. Chester Evans, Dr. John Nelson, and Dr. John Pryor. At the time, they noted that there was no certification in the growing specialty of wound care that offered a multidisciplinary approach. So they set about creating what was then called the American Academy of Wound Management to address that gap. By 1999, the board consisted of various thought leaders in the field of wound management, and our first CWS exam was administered in 1999. And by the end of that year, we had 35 practitioners who were CWS certified. 2007 was a big year for us as we became accredited through the National Commission for Certifying Agencies, NCCA, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. Also that year, the ABWM Foundation was created to help promote education and research in wound care. And the CWCA exam was developed to include non-bachelor's degree health and sales professionals. In 2009, the CWSP, which is the Certified Wound Specialist Physician exam, was developed specifically for MDs, DOs, and DPMs. And that completed our 3 certifications that we still offer today. And in 2011, we changed our name and we became the American Board of Wound Management and moved from a written exam to a computer-based exam. Then we jump forward 10 years to 2021. Just last year, we had a lot of changes, including switching to a new testing partner, Pearson VUE. They have over 300 testing sites across the United States and a network of testing partners around the world. We also have a new online application and certification management platform called Certime. So that was a huge jump forward for us, moving from a paper application to a fully online application today. And today, as of 2022, we have approximately 4,700 clinicians and professionals certified through ABWM and over 300 testing sites worldwide. So just to touch on the mission of ABWM here briefly. So the American Board of Wound Management is dedicated to the multidisciplinary team approach in promoting the science of prevention, care, and treatment of acute and chronic wounds. And the primary way that we put this mission into practice is by administering our 3 certification programs, so the CWCA, the CWS, and the CWSP. And we believe this benefits not just our certified providers themselves, but also their patients and the wound care industry as a whole. So let's jump into then our main topic of the day. So why certification is valuable to you as wound care providers. So firstly, by certifying in any one of our programs, you gain recognition as a specialist in wound care. When you pass the exam, you can add your CWCA, CWS, or CWSP credential to your business cards, your bylines, your email signature, and you can add the ABWM logo to your website. So that's instantly recognizable as a certified provider. Having one of our certifications may help you to obtain promotions, pay raises, greater job opportunities. We've had a lot of anecdotal evidence from our certified providers to this effect. We also believe that being certified with us helps to improve the quality of wound care for patients. As part of the maintenance of your certification, every year we require our providers to complete a minimum of 6 hours of continuing education units pertaining to wound care. So that really helps our providers to stay on top of the latest research and wound care methodologies. Having one of our credentials can be a source of professional pride. Our certifications are very widely known and widely respected in the wound care industry. So that's another valuable point. Because of the multidisciplinary nature of our wound care certifications, it allows clinicians to cooperate and exchange resources with colleagues in other disciplines. So, you have a PT and an RN who are, speaking the same language when it comes to wound care. Our certifications can help reduce the costs of providing wound care in the facility or practice. It can enable clinicians to be an on-site resource to educate and train colleagues in wound management. And our certifications also allow clinicians to become part of a larger multidisciplinary community. So that's one aspect that we're really proud of with our certifications, and a point that differentiates us from some other certification programs in the field. On that note, there are other wound certification bodies out there. So we often get the question, why ABWM? Why should we certify through you guys specifically? And what we say to that is, we are the original multidisciplinary wound certification program. As mentioned previously, we were set up in 1995, so we've been around the longest, and we're, well, as I mentioned previously, well-known, well-respected in the industry. We're part of an elite group of certifying organizations accredited by the National Commission of Certifying Agencies, the NCCA. So what this means is that our certifications have met the national credentialing industry standard of excellence for certification development, implementation, and maintenance. There are maybe only one or two other certification programs that I can think of in wound care who meet this standard, who also have this certification. So that's an important thing to look for when you're evaluating programs. Our exams are very rigorous. We can see from the pass rates that it's not an automatic pass for a lot of people. It can take people, 2 or 3 attempts to pass the exam. But we actually view that as a good thing because, it really, when you pass the exam, it really demonstrates that you've mastered wound care knowledge. So it's something you can really be proud of. And something one of our board members, Dr. Byris, you can see his quote there on the bottom of the screen. Something he's very fond of saying is, not all wound care providers are created equal, only the best become ABWM certified. Slightly tongue in cheek, but you get the drift. So continuing on there, on why ABWM. So ABWM exams go through a 3-round psychometric review process. So again, we utilize that interdisciplinary team approach in our exam development. And also the ABWM Board of Directors includes a public member. Our current public member is Russ Melchert. He's a pharmacist. And we think this inclusion of a public member on our board really ensures the best interests of the general public when it comes to board decisions. Move on to the next slide. So, why a healthcare professional with experience in wound management should seek board certification? We have a few reasons listed here on the screen. So it recognizes those who have met the eligibility requirements for board certification. It identifies a standard of knowledge essential for developing a comprehensive wound management program. It advances cooperation and resource exchange amongst the various disciplines and organizations involved in the treatment of patients with chronic wounds. It encourages continued professional growth and development of individuals in the field of wound management. And it establishes a code of ethics, responsibility, and high professional standards by all certified individuals. So those are some of the reasons that you might seek board certification. Getting a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of applying and eligibility. So for us, what we look for is any healthcare professional who has at least 3 years of experience in wound care is eligible to apply for one of our examinations. So just to get into the difference between the three a little bit, our CWCA exam is the Certified Wound Care Associate, and that is open to anyone with at least a high school diploma or equivalent. So examples of the kind of professions that apply for that are LVNs or LPNs, PTAs, certified healthcare assistants, sales and marketing people in the wound care industry, and academic researchers. Then if you have at least a bachelor's degree or you're a qualified RN and you have a valid clinical license, you can sit for the CWS, which is the Certified Wound Specialist exam. And in terms of the breakdown, there's a lot of different disciplines who are eligible to sit for that, but in terms of the breakdown, it's about 27% PTs currently, 24% RNs, and 18% nurse practitioners. But as well as that, we have physician assistants, we have pharmacists, we have occupational therapists, and other professions in that field as well. And then our CWSP finally is the Certified Wound Specialist Physician exam, and that is open to MDs, DOs, and DPMs. In terms of the 3 years of experience, one question we often get is what exactly the 3 years experience means. We like to tell people that, wound care does not have to be your primary responsibility in order to meet the requirement of 3 years experience, just so long as you have a cumulative total of 3 years of experience in wound care related roles. So, and how you kind of demonstrate that experience is you can kind of speak to it in different areas of the application process, such as the personal statement, and your professional reference letters can speak to that experience also. So moving forward to some of the resources that we have in our booth, if you're interested in exploring any of these programs further, there's lots of information on our exam eligibility in our booth. There's a picture there of the Passionate About Wound Care, goes into the eligibility requirements and some more of the details on the exams themselves. We have detailed step-by-step on how to apply for the exam. As I mentioned previously, that whole process is now online, and there's a really easy way to just self-enroll once you've determined which exam is the best fit for you. We have some of our FAQs available for download in the booth, and we have a library of videos covering a range of topics related to our certification exams. So make sure after this to go in, have a click around. There's tons of information there. But if you have any questions on anything, you're more than welcome to reach out to us directly, either by giving us a call, or we have our email info@abwmcertified.org. One thing I wanted to call out as well is that we have a button in our booth for subscribing to our newsletter. We send a newsletter every second month that has lots of great information pertaining to our certification programs and the wound care industry as a whole. So I'd really recommend subscribing to that. And we are picking one person from the subscribers from this conference. If you subscribe today, one lucky person will be winning this lovely ABWM branded backpack that I have pictured on screen there. So please make sure to do that. You can follow us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also have a YouTube channel. And there are links, direct links to each of those in our booth also on the right-hand side of the screen. You know, when you follow us on social media, we have lots of great wound care content. We have tips on achieving and maintaining certification. And it's also a great way to connect with other wound care providers. So I would recommend giving us a follow. We'd love to have you as part of our community over there. And finally, after the conference, if you're interested in learning more about us, I'd recommend heading over to our website at www.abwmcertified.org and perusing some of the resources we have available over there. One page in particular I'd like to call out is our Find a Specialist page. This has a searchable map that you can use to find ABWM certified wound care providers across the United States. And this is another benefit of certification with us, as prospective patients can use this map to find your location and contact details. So definitely check that out as well. So now we've reached the end of the presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions that any of you have. So feel free to pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. Let me see. So I have one question here. Hi, I'm a podiatrist, UK certified with a master's in wound care. Which exam do I qualify for? So as a podiatrist, thank you for the question. You'd be qualified to sit for our CWSP, our Certified Wound Specialist Physician exam. However, you could also sit for the CWS either. So either the CWS or the CWSP, it's really a personal preference, which you would prefer to sit for. The CWSP is a longer exam, has some more surgical related questions within it. So yeah, it's up to you. I have another question here. I'm an industry salesperson. Can I get certified? Yes, absolutely. That's our CWCA, our Certified Wound Care Associate exam. You would be eligible to sit for that one. We have lots of sales and marketing folks who have that certification, find it very beneficial. So yeah, definitely look at applying for that. Right, let me check this Q&A box. Okay. My concern would be that the podiatrist qualification in the UK is very different from the US. US is DPM, but mine is BSc. Yeah, I'd recommend maybe taking a look. If you go to our website, we have a handbook on each of the 3 certifications, and we have the content outline for each of the exams. So you can kind of see what's covered in each of them and how that relates to your own experience. In terms of just the international question, we do have folks around the world that have each of our certifications. So yeah, there are folks in the UK and the Middle East and Singapore who have sat and passed for our exams. But I think it would just be a matter of looking at the content to see. Okay. So I think then that is all we have time for today. So thank you all so much. Oh, I'm sorry, I see one more question, time for one more. About how many continuing education as an RN I need to have before certification. We actually don't have any requirements in terms of what kind of education you need to do before sitting for the exam. It's a self-study exam, so that means it's totally up to you how you want to prepare. We don't recommend any specific courses or study materials or anything like that. So it's totally up to you. Our only requirement in terms of eligibility is that 3 years of experience and having a license for the CWS or the CWSP. Great. So I think that's everything. Thank you everybody for joining us here today. As I mentioned, the session has been recorded, so it'll be available in the booth for the next couple of weeks during the on-demand portion of the conference. But thank you so much. I'll be in the discussion room in our booth. If you have any follow-up questions, if you'd like to message me directly, I'd be happy to chat with you. But enjoy the rest of the conference. Have a great day.